Do you ever feel like you're drowning in debt and you just can't catch a break? Have you ever thought to yourself, wow, I wish someone would raise the minimum wage? I know I have. But there's a lot of reasons that we can't raise the minimum wage. Now I know some of you want to walk away and that you don't want to listen to this speech, but I hope that you'll stay so you can be informed on why America cannot raise its minimum wage. The United States cannot raise its minimum wage. I have a deep interest in politics, and every time I go to a political debate, this is a topic that is always brought up. I have researched many of the issues that candidates talk about when these questions are asked, and I have determined that it will ruin us before make us better. Today I'm going to go over 3 topics on why we cannot raise the minimum wage. The first one is that whenever you raise minimum wage, everything goes up with it. The next one is that it takes away from lower level employees at jobs. And the last one is that it ruins your work ethic. So let's get started. Whenever you raise minimum wage, everything goes up with it. I cannot count the amount of times I've heard people say, wow, I wish they would raise the minimum wage. What they don't understand is that it has been raised many times. Minimum wage was created in 1938 when Congress passed the Fair Standard Labor Act of 1938. This set the minimum wage at 25 cents an hour. Now I know a lot of things have gone up drastically since then, but these are things that you usually buy later on in your life whenever you have a more set career. Now let's talk about California. California is one of the leading states with the highest minimum wage at $11 an hour. Oklahoma uses the federal minimum wage at $7.25 an hour. Now when you buy basic things in California, like say a carton of eggs, it runs about $1 more than what it does in Oklahoma. Now some of you might think, well, I'll take a $3 an hour raise if it means eggs only have to go up $1. But we need to look at some of the bigger things such as rent. Rent in California in an unpopulated area runs about $2,230 a month. In Oklahoma, that's $955 a month. This is a very big decrease if you'll move to Oklahoma and stay with the lower minimum wage. Another reason we can't raise minimum wage is that it causes inflation. Now if you don't know what inflation is, next time you go to buy that carton of eggs, if inflation has gone up, you'll have to take a wheelbarrow full of money and gold just to buy a small carton of eggs. Now that we know how minimum wage going up can take away from the great bargains we have here in Oklahoma, let's move on to some more stuff. Big companies such as Amazon, Facebook, and Walmart are all against minimum wage going up. Now CEOs of these big companies always say that they can't hold the same amount of employees when minimum wage goes up. People think that these CEOs should have their salaries lowered and that money should be used to pay these lower level employees. I don't think so. I think those people worked hard to get to the jobs where they're at, and other people need to work hard to make it up there. But when we raise minimum wage, these big companies cannot afford to keep the same amount of lower level employees. Now, this is a bad problem because when they fire these employees, they end up on unemployment, which takes away from our tax dollars. Another issue with raising the minimum wage is that it decreases your economy. When California joined the Raise the Minimum Wage movement in 2015, their economy started decreasing. It's decreased by 20% all the way to 2018. Yes, in just 3 years. So now that you know some of these facts on why we can't raise the minimum wage, I hope that you won't want to do that. The other thing that it does is it doubles your work for the people who are gone. So now you have to do more work than what you had to before. And I know nobody wants to do that. But if that's not enough reason for you to not want to raise the minimum wage, then we'll go on to something else. It lowers your work ethic. Whenever you're in a job and you're getting paid the same as a lower level supervisor, you're not going to work very hard to take his position because you know you'll have more work when you get there. Minimum wage was created to protect women and children who were going into factory working who had no skill. I believe minimum wage today is for children who are in high school, not for people who are trying to find something to live on. Another reason that minimum wage should not go up is minimum wage is for minimum skill. If you can only find a job making minimum wage, you should stick with it and train, whether it's going into a fast food restaurant, and work on your skill of cooking and handling money and using that to move up to higher positions. Now, if I haven't given you enough reason today on why we should raise the minimum wage, I hope you'll research and go over some of the other reasons. So today we talked about 3 different points of raising the minimum wage. The first one was, or why we should not raise the minimum wage. The first one was when you raise minimum wage, everything goes up with it. The next one is that employers cannot have as many lower level employees when we raise the minimum wage. And lastly, it lowers our work ethic. I hope if you learned anything today, you learned that the United States cannot lower its minimum wage. If we will keep our minimum wage the same and not raise it, then inflation will not increase, and we can protect our precious tax dollars.